Hello, my resilient We Can Do It women. I'm Deborah Morrison, and today we're addressing the elephant in the room. Yeah, that's keeping so many of you awake at night. Yeah, I'm talking about inflation. Yeah. So recent studies show that 65% of Americans consider inflation to be their number one financial concern, and 52% believe their income isn't keeping pace. For women over 60 on fixed incomes, this isn't just a statistic. It's a daily reality affecting everything from groceries to healthcare. Now, after our previous series on building wealth and wellness, many of you have asked, Deborah, how do I protect what I've built when everything costs so much more? But today I'm giving you the inflation proofing strategies, that actually can work in 2025 and thereafter. Yeah. The real impact of 2025 inflation on women is really not to be based in fear, but rather I'm going to give you some facts. And those facts, once we distill them, are going to settle into our being. And I think urge us to go ahead and be courageous and take the next steps. Now, overall inflation has cooled to around 3 to 4%. And yet the things we spend money on most, they're rising faster. Healthcare costs up 8.5% annually. Food and groceries up 6 to 8%. Housing costs 5 to 7%. Utilities 4 to 6%. See, for women over 60, that's particularly devastating because we typically spend higher percentages of our income on these very things, these necessities. Remember when we've talked about multiple streams of income? Yeah. Now, this is why that strategy is more critical than ever. So the hidden inflation tax on fixed incomes, if you're living on $4,000 a month and inflation runs 4% annually, you're effectively losing $160 a month in purchasing power. Yeah. Over a year, that's almost $2,000 in lost buying power. You know the feeling. Your dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. But let's just project over the next 10 years. You're looking at a 40% reduction in what your money can actually buy. Yes, Social Security gets cost of living adjustments, but they typically lag behind real inflation and they don't reflect the specific spending patterns of seniors. So here's a real life case study. My client Susan, age 68, came to me last year panicked about rising costs. She had a fixed income of $3,800 a month, yet her expenses had grown up to about $4,100. So we looked at the data and implemented an inflation proofing strategy. Number one, income diversification. We added a pet sitting business to her repertoire, and she was delighted because she loves pets, and she hadn't thought of it before. She's pulling down $400 a month. Expense optimization. She switched insurance. We eliminated some subscriptions and saved her about $180 a month. Investment reallocation. We moved 30% of her portfolio to inflation protected securities. Yes, we did. We strategic downsized in terms of her renting out her basement room. Yes, she wasn't using it, had a separate entrance. It was perfect. $600 a month. Now she has $800 of a monthly cushion, and her investments are growing ahead of inflation. So I want to talk about the 5-pillar inflation defense strategy. Pillar 1, income inflation hedges. Yeah. Treasury inflation protected securities, sometimes referred to as TIPS, TIPS. Dividend growing stocks, companies that increase the dividends annually. There are a lot of them. Real estate investment trusts, REITs, variable annuities with inflation riders, although I'm not so heavy on that because of the expenses of annuities. And part-time work in inflation-resistant sectors. Yeah. Pillar 2, expense auditing and optimization. Every 6 months, we're going to audit all of our expenses, our insurance policies. We're going to shop them annually. You could save 10 to 20%. Now, there's a caution here that if you keep switching like a jackrabbit, right, one company to another company, and you have a claim, they're going to see that, oh, well, you've only been with them a year, and it's not going to bode as well for the claims adjuster if you do shop annually. So there's a caution note that I throw out here. Subscription services. These average, the average household, $79 a month. That sometimes we've even forgotten about. How about utilities? Energy efficient upgrades, right? Once an appliance needs upgraded, I want you to look at the energy efficiency rating. I just did that. I just bought a refrigerator for my lake house, and I looked really close at the energy efficiency rating, and that really steered my purchase. And we can check with your CPA. You may be able to get some type of a tax credit, energy tax credit for that. Transportation. Consider ride sharing versus owning a car. So many people don't even need to own a car anymore. It's surprising, and there's so many expenses with cars. Pillar three, strategic asset allocation. You see, the traditional 60% stock, 40% in bonds portfolio can get crushed by inflation. Maybe you consider 20% TIPS or I bonds, inflation protected bonds, 30% dividend growing stocks, right? 20% real estate, REITs or rental property, 15% commodities, natural resources, and yes, that includes gold and Bitcoin, and 15% cash equivalents. Pillar four, geographic arbitrage. Wow. Sometimes the best inflation protection is moving to a location where your money actually gets stretched farther. And many people wait until they're ready to quote unquote retire to do this. And yet I caution you that, you may not need to wait that long. Take a peek around, ask your friends. You might get the same quality of life for 20 to 30% less in certain states. There's probably lower property taxes. Some states don't levy an income tax. Now, believe me, that's not a free gift. You also have a higher VAT tax on it, variable. I don't even know what VAT tax means. It's a tax on every single purchase you make, right? It kind of makes up for the income tax in some respects. Better healthcare value in some regions. You want to watch this because there are a lot of regional hospitals being shut down now. So don't be too incisive with that little scalpel that you get yourself in a rural area and you can't find a hospital within 30 miles. That could be horrifying. It could be death if you have an emergency. That's just as simple as it is. So be judicious. Pillar number five, skill-based inflation protection. Yeah, develop a recession and inflation-proof income source. Digital skills that can be done remotely. So much can be done remotely. Essential services that people need regardless of their economic conditions. Teaching and tutoring, it's always in demand, and so often it's helped students in different states, in different countries. It's always in demand, and it's done over the Zoom call, over Skype, whatever. Healthcare adjacent services, yeah. Technology tools for inflation protection. Apps like Mint or YNAB for expense tracking. Honey Browser extension for automatic coupon applications. Gas Buddy for finding cheapest fuel prices. This is especially good when you're in an area that you're not familiar, not your hometown, right? It's silly to pay extra for a fill up when you could go into Gas Buddy app and just find the quickest and the closest gas that is at a discount. Rakuten for cash back on purchases. High yield savings accounts. Some of them are paying 4 to 6%. Now, the psychology of inflation anxiety is real, and it can lead to poor decisions. We might hoard cash, and that loses value to inflation. We might panic sell our investments. Don't do that, especially when the market's down. And we might hurt our actual quality of life with extreme cost cutting. Everything in moderation, right? I encourage you to step in to new habits little by little until they become more known to you, more comfortable, and then add on another element to that so that over a several month period of time, you get where you're going, and yet you do so in a way that you're not just hypertense about the change of it all, right? The change of it all. And let's avoid we can't avoid necessary healthcare, sorry, but let's be very judicious about how we can protect our health so that we don't end up in urgent care. You see, controlled strategic responses beat panic every single time. The 2025 specific strategies are based on current economic conditions. Yeah, I bonds currently paying over 5%. The maximum you can buy at $10,000 a year. High yield savings accounts, finally they're competitive. Energy stocks benefiting from infrastructure spending. Healthcare REITs gaining from an aging population, and we've got one. Inflation isn't our enemy if we prepare for it. It's been with us for decades, and smart women have always found ways to stay ahead. Yet our longevity continues to increase, and that's why it might be kind of a shock to some of us right now, and we kind of not spent time being conscious of it earlier. And so the key is acting proactively, not reactively. You've weathered economic storms before. Yes, you have. The 1970s inflation. And the stock market was pretty much like a dead person's EKG during the 70s. It was a trying time. Yes, it was. The 2008, 2009 Great Recession, 2007, 8, the panic of the pandemic, right? The disruption of it all. And we have the wisdom and the resilience to handle all of these things. As my dear late friend, Dr. Susan Jeffers says, whatever happens, I'll handle it. Ooh, wow. The difference now is you have more tools and strategies at your fingertips, right? We do. There are so many opportunities now, especially to make money outside our first or second income stream. Now, next week, we're going to tackle another major 2025 concern, and that is the housing crisis. Affects our generation and how to make smart moves in what some are calling an impossible market. Yeah. So subscribe to the channel, join our We Can Do It Women Facebook community, and share this video with any woman who needs to hear that inflation is manageable when you have the right strategy. So until next week, remember, you can't control inflation, but you can absolutely control your response to it. You've got this.